What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Going to be playing Reshiram Charizard here on PTCGO today, the top threat heading into the North American International Championships. I think that Azul's second place list from the Madison Regional Championships is a great place to start with this deck for testing with and against, except I would suggest putting one copy of Choice Band into the deck, so just find at least room for one Choice Band so that you do have the option to one-hit KO Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GXs outside of your 6 Energy Double Blaze GX. Otherwise, this version of the deck is very fast, very consistent, and very aggressive, which I do love about it. Hello there, Jeremy. What is up? All right, I don't exactly know who my opponent is going to be, what deck my opponent's playing here, so I'm not going to put down Reshizard or Eevee Snorlax yet. Let's wait and see. And it does appear to be Zork. So looks like it is going to be Eevee and Snorlax o'clock here. We do have Escape Board, Acro Bike, and Welder in the hand. So we're going to have a pretty easy time getting this guy powered up turn 1. Now, one of the strongest things about Reshiram and Charizard, not only the fact that you get to attack with these gigantic, big 270 hit point Pokemon, right? As quick as the first or second turn of the game. But also the fact that you get to use all of the best ability Pokemon in the game. You get to use Jirachi, you get to use Dedenne, and Let Loose Marshadow. I think this deck utilizes Let Loose Marshadow as like probably the best out of any deck in standard format. This and Pikarom are like the two decks that utilize Let Loose Marshadow better than every other deck. And the reason being for that is that both Reshiram Charizard and Pikarom, I would say that maybe Pikarom can utilize it just slightly better because you can't Kiawe turn 1 and Let Loose. You can Welder turn 1 and Let Loose. But with Pikarom, you can go turn 1 Full Blitz and Let Loose in the same turn, which is absolutely filthy disgusting. That's like one of the most absurd starts you could get for any deck. And as you can see here, we do have the Kiawe rip off of that Acro Bike, which is just amazing. And we also have a Stellar Wish. Awesome stuff. We've got Switch and Guzma there. I really like the Guzma. We're just going to be able to target down whatever we want off of my opponent's side of the field. So let's go ahead and get that started. And we'll put the Eevee Snorlax, the Growlithe down, and energy onto the... I don't actually know that I want to commit the energy because we might want to Welder turn 2 with that 1 fire energy. So we're just going to end the turn with the Kiawe here, put all of those onto the Eevee Snorlax, and we can just see how absolutely oppressive this deck is, threatening a turn 2 Guzma 240 on anybody on their side of the field, which is ridiculous. I had to play almost no cards to accomplish this either, just proving how consistent this Reshiram and Charizard deck is. And with Let Loose in the format, I think Let Loose is the defining card in standard format right now. It's the card that is pushing Eevee Snorlax and Reshiram Charizard and Pikarom to just the top of the rankings. The fact that they can set up these gigantic Pokemon and then just limit you to a 4-card hand on the first or second turn of the game. And then at the end of the game, they're going to take a big knockout and let loose you again. So I highly recommend the 2 Let Loose Marshadow in these Tag Team Pokemon GX decks. It really sets them apart. Even with cards like Persian GX that you have to worry about, right? Even with Persian GX, you can very easily just take advantage of that by a well-timed let loose, right? And limiting them to 4 cards, making it even harder for them to respond. So let's see what we got here. We are kind of in a tough spot because they could just go Silvally here. And with the Ditto and the Type Null on the bench, we know that that 3-piece combo is going to guarantee them the ability to get Silvally and Persian, no matter which one of them that I pick off, which makes me think that probably Welder is going to be the top play here, especially with that top deck. So we're going to Welder these 2 energies onto my Reshiram and Charizard GX. See what we get off those 3. And sure enough, this is what I'm talking about, guys. The ability to just let loose at a time like this. We're about to limit my opponent to a 4-card hand and knock out one of their only 2 Zoroarks, making it even harder for them to be able to participate in this game. So we'll get a Jirachi just to put that escape board onto and then let loose, limiting them to a 4-card hand. And every card really does matter at a time like this. When you're trying to respond to an Eevee and Snorlax, they do need quite the combo to respond to this thing. Now, I have not attached for turn yet, so I could go as far as to even Dedenne-GX and really draw a big hand here. But let's go ahead and Acro Bike and see if we can find something. My second Let Loose, not a card that I want to get rid of, but I also don't want to get rid of that Heat Factory. So really tough call here, and I definitely want to get an energy attached to this. Really, really tough. I think I could Let Loose one more time. Just keep this, Let Loose one more time, go for the fire energy. It's probably fair. And, I mean, that or I'm Ultra Balling away all these cards for a Dedenne-GX. So it doesn't really matter which one I pick. Though 200, yeah, because 200 damage is just short of being able to take a knockout with his attack. And I don't want to have to force myself to Welder this next turn if I don't have to. So I think we're probably, I mean, that or I play the whole hand down. I don't think that I play the whole hand down with Fiery Flint and get 4 fire energy in hand. I'd rather have some more aggressive draw options. So we're going to just go with the Dedenne-GX here and Dede change. We can see how much of my deck that I have access to is absolutely ridiculous, right? Being able to Dede change and just take a huge draw up here. I have switch. I could switch retreat if I want to. And we get the fire energy there, which is excellent. And then a dump truck press for knockout. Knocking out that Zoroark GX, limiting them to just a few cards in hand. We're going to see if they can get the Persian GX and Silvally GX combo that they need to respond to the Eevee Snorlax. They're confidently promoting their type null here. So it may be a possibility. Now, one of my biggest criticisms of Zoroark decks is a lot of times they just have trouble setting up. Now, right here, they do have Kukui as their supporter for turn, and with just one Zoroark in play, we'll see if that's enough for them to get the Type Null, Triple Acceleration Energy, and I should say the Silvally GX Triple Acceleration Energy and the Fighting Memory. Now, so long as they have just one of those pieces in their hand, they'll be able to catwalk for the other 2, which is really good. And they'll have to use their GX attack, actually, because Silvally GX's Turbo Drive, or whatever that attack is called. Is it Turbo Drive? I think it is. Turbo Drive only does 120, so that would only be 240. Not enough to take the knockout here. But I do have Reshiram and Charizard poised and ready here on my bench. And they're actually just going to get there with a Rebel GX with Kukui. So they did not need the fighting memory at all. I have a pretty clear route here. If I can just knock out, I think, the Persian GX, I would really love to do that so that they cannot catwalk and look for their fighting memory or their water memory or whatever they surely play for the Silvally GX. With only one Zoroark in play, we're definitely hoping for that. So let's thin the deck as much as we can. Take a look. How many Guzma? Oh, I do actually just have Lele, so I could just Ultra Ball for it and guarantee that Guzma. We do have 2 Guzmas in the deck, so we are going to make that play work. And just hopefully they don't have it like that. Let's just Ultra Ball here, and I think I'm also going to get rid of the probably Welder, since I am going to be going for Guzma this turn. I could get rid of the fire energy, and then we would be able to get more fire energies with Fiery Flint potentially as well. Get those out of the deck. Oh, we have 2. Okay, that's fine. So let's see where we're at with this Stellar Wish here. We got Fire Crystal. That's good. And then Guzma. So I think here, that was a little roundabout way of doing that. I didn't, it's all good. We could get the Guzma, and then I could play this hand down, Fiery Flint away. Yeah, that's actually cool. I'm actually kind of cool with that. So we're actually going to grab the Guzma, and then I don't have to put the Lele down, and we can Fiery Flint away the Lele and probably the... Actually kind of like keeping the... You know, what if I have to go for Guzma again to win the game? And I could use like Jirachi, double switch, things like that. So we could get rid of these two. Keep the Lele. Just in case. And then we do have ourselves this and Guzma the Persian GX. I think we just take it out with the GX attack. That way I do have Flare Strike for next turn, and we just hope that they don't have it like that. Double Blaze GX dealing 200 damage there, and if they do have triple acceleration energy and water memory, they are going to be able to take the win here. The Zoroark decks can definitely be very, very strong. They are, as you can see, this deck is perfectly teched for a Reshiram and Charizard deck, right? Which is pretty cool. But at the end of the day, Reshiram and Charizard is just such a big bully of a deck that it can just fight through this perfectly teched out deck, right? And even though they have all the pieces here to be able to knock out Reshiram and Charizard GXs and Eevee and Snorlaxs, they may just whiff it. They do need a two-piece combo here. They got the water memory and I assume the triple acceleration. They got Kukui looking for the triple. Do they have it? There's a type null. I don't know that they would have played the water memory down preemptively if they did not have it. But it looks like they're retreating to Zorua, so like I said, that is it, right? We've got the Tapu Lele-GX that we saved in our hand just for a moment like this if we had to go for the game-winning Guzma, and sure enough, we have got it. Well played, Silvally. Well played, and that is going to be it. We're going to take out a Silvally GX with Flare Strike for game with our Reshiram and Charizard deck. And just like that, that's why this deck is so oppressive, why this deck is the top dog heading into the North American International Championships, because even when you're playing against a GX deck like Zoroark that is completely ready for what you are bringing to the table, they still might just whiff the cards that they need in order to knock you out. So I think that Reshiram and Charizard Tag Team GX, definitely a top contender for NAIC. I think it is going to be probably one of the most popular played decks at NAIC. I also expect it to be very successful because even when this deck is hated on, right? I mean, even the decks that are built to beat it maybe only have a 55% win ratio against it, especially that Zoroark deck, right? Which is extremely tough. I mean, you can have Silvally's in there. You could even put Lucario in there. Either way, Reshiram and Charizard is going to be able to go. It's going to be able to go toe to toe with all of those attackers because it can one-hit KO any attacker that you throw its way. Looks like we're playing against a Hitmonchan deck here, so an interesting little deck to mix things up. They're probably going to be running that Fighting Dojo, which would increase their damage dealt when they're behind on prizes. Looks like they're also running the Jirachi engine, so they can Stellar Wish and set their attackers up that way, and then they're going to want to use Hitmon top, finishing combo, Hitmon lead, things like that, special combo to finesse some action there. Now, I do have everything that I need in my hand for a turn 1 GX attack with Charizard, and that's absolutely what we're about to do. So let's get it. We've got Fiery Flint, probably going to want to discard potentially Acro Bike and Ultra Ball here to, just get a bunch of energy into my hand. I'm fine with that. Switch is necessary. The Welder's necessary. I could have discarded the Fire Energy and kept one of those. That's kind of was probably the play in hindsight, but it's all good. We're going to Stellar Wish after we Welder. I think we Welder first. We draw some cards. That way we actually allow ourselves to dig as deep as possible for some more action here. We've got Let Loose. That could be very good. So like I said it before, I'll say it again. This is just the most insane, one of the most insane decks to use Let Loose Marshadow. This card is the defining card of this format. Look how big their hand is, right? We're about to take out their Jirachi and limit them to 4 cards on my first turn of the game while also dealing 200 damage. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But I'm not one to complain very much. I think that that just is what the format is. I think Tag Team Pokemon GX are very exciting. They're very exciting. They're very cool. The cool factor of them, extremely high, right? So you got to respect that. Pokemon was able to create these big hulking Pokemon that are just very exciting to play. I definitely like the evolution of the Pokemon trading card game as well. I think that in order to keep things exciting, the Pokemon Company has to try new things, new ideas, right? So I don't blame them for trying out these big tag team Pokemon. I think that it's kind of an exciting thing that they've been able to create here with their game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the upcoming year plays out in the Pokemon trading card game. Now, that being said, I am also excited for Let Loose to leave the format because I think it's going to open things up for other decks to really compete much more equally with these big tag team Pokemon GX. So let's quit talking and see what we got on this turn here. We do have an Ultra Ball, which is good. I don't really feel like I want to Kiawe anymore, so I'm cool with that. I can Guzma the Hitmonchan. That seems pretty good. This is an interesting little strategy that they got going on here. Pukimuku with innards out allows them to put 6 damage counters on me if I attack into it, but I do not plan on doing that. So let's Guzma up this Hitmonchan here, and we do have Stellar Wish, which is great. So we can go find some stuff off of that, or just, one escape board. That's fine too. And then I think that I kind of want to Dedenne-GX this hand. We can just put down another Jirachi, another skateboard, and then honestly just Day Change, which is a little bit aggressive, sure, and does put down this Fighting Week GX Pokemon, but ultimately I care more about getting rid of that Fighting Dojo, right? I also want to find my Miltank so that I can use that. So I think that this is going to be really good for me here. I'm going to start off with an Acro Bike. Taking the Guzma is definitely good, and we'll Heat Factory one of these away. So next turn, so long as I am able to survive, which I should be able to, this thing is only taken 120 damage. Only has taken 120 damage. Can you just, we just jot that down, how ridiculous that is, that I said the Reshiram and Charizard has only suffered 120 damage this turn. That being said, I should be able to Guzma around the Pukimuku one more time, and then get myself Miltank and heal some damage off with that Miltank. Definitely promoting the Marshadow here, which would be fighting resistant, so that's really good. But they might be able to special combo, which would be tough, right? They deal 90 damage with that Hitmonlee if they can just hit a fighting energy. And the strategy then is going to use this, Hitmon top for a finishing combo. Now, if they miss the energy here, that's going to be really tough. It's one of my least favorite things about the Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee deck is that there's just not a lot of aggressive draw power in this deck. And now we see that every single missed turn, right, is a opportunity for me to skip ahead even further. So really tough there. Let's get rid of the Eevee Snorlax, and I think probably a Welder is fine. Let's go get that Miltank, and this is going to feel pretty demoralizing, I think, for, let's see, the Hitmonchan deck here. We're just going to Guzma up the Hitmonlee, and then we get that Moo Moo Mult here to heal the Reshiram Charizard, and we've got a switch card. So that thing, healthy as ever, can Flare Strike for 230 damage, and I'm taking out their Hitmonlee, which, or the Hitmonchan, which means that they cannot attack with either Hitmonlee or the Hitmontop this turn. That's tough. They need to find another Hitmonchan, and they are starting from square one. This Reshiram Charizard has only got 30 damage on it now. You can see how good that Miltank is absolutely bullying around these non-GX decks, and that's part of the reason why Reshiram and Charizard is just so oppressive right now. The GX decks that could potentially compete with Reshiram and Charizard, you could just let loose them into nothing and then Flare Strike their big attacker, and they might not be able to respond. The non-GX decks that might be able to 2 or 3 hit KO the Reshiram and Charizard, you could just use Miltank and Moo Malt, heal that thing pretty much indefinitely, and just go from there. Really, really cool deck here. So let's see. We're gonna want to probably build up another attacker. So let's just Welder. I think 2 energies onto the Miltank. What can he knock out? Oh yeah. Let's just put both energies onto the Miltank. I'm fine with that. And then if we hit a switch, you know, then or we could just manually retreat into the Miltank and then sit down splash, which is kind of crazy, right? Now, the Miltank will end up biting the dust, which is pretty tough. We don't really want that to happen, but we could certainly make that work, actually, because we could potentially, you know, save ourselves a whole knockout there, and them putting 60 damage on the Miltank is kind of like, that's fine, right? Like I don't really care if that happens. So think that this is where we're going here. And then that'll be just outrage. They put 60, I'm at 180. They might not knock me out. Well, they'll probably knock me out. All right, well, we're going here. So let's retreat into Miltank. And then yeah, you got it, Miltank. Sit down splash. That's fine. 60 damage. The Miltank takes a little hit there with innards out. We only got 2 prizes left to take. I do have Fiery Flint in my hand, so if we can just find ourselves... Ooh, I'm down 3 Welder. It's kind of tough. Down 3 Welder and a Kiawe. So I am running a little bit low on stuff, but that's cool. I do still have my 2 Jirachi. I can also just outrage whoever this next turn, which is really good for me. We are going to sadly lose our Miltank, I have to imagine. I don't think that there's a world where they don't knock out the Miltank, but oh, Goomy. That's an interesting Pokemon to promote. So they're going to force me to find a Guzma or a Welder here, which is kind of tough. And it looks like they are setting up a potential finishing combo, right? But I'm not sure that they're going to get that many turns to be able to attack here. Coming down the line, see what we got here. We need some action. We got Let Loose Marshadow. That's cool. I can Fiery Flint away probably these 2 Jirachi and not really feel too bad about that. We've got 4 fire energies left in the deck. Let's take a look at the rest of the deck. I do have no Welders, but I do have a Kiawe left, so that's tough. And then also, I do have a single Guzma left as well. So let's see what we can do here. And then what were the attackers that I had left at my disposal? We do have a Reshiram Charizard. That's probably fine. And a Growlithe with no Arcanine. So we probably take the fresh Reshiram Charizard. If I can find the Kiawe, I probably will just play it and see what we can do. There's Kiawe. So that's good. That or we just we Guzma and outrage something for KO. I don't think that they can... That's probably fine. Yeah. Because I don't think that they're going to be able to finish off this Reshiram Charizard. He has too many hit points. 150 damage. I don't think they can possibly do that, especially if I knock out that Diancie, which is kind of what I got my eyes on here. So we knock out the Diancie, then there's like no way they can deal enough, right? They can deal at most like 50, 100. Like they're not dealing 150. That's plus 40, which is pretty good. But I think that I mean, if the Hitmontop can deal 50, this thing can also deal 70. Let's just retreat into this Jirachi. Yeah, we'll do that again before we Guzma. Let's not be bad, Andrew. Very good. We've got Kiawe in the hand as well. That's pretty good. We'll take the Kiawe just in case we end up needing it, but we'll see here. We should just be able to outrage our way to victory. I'll take out the Diancie and go from there. We'll see how we do. Outrage, they've got 5 prizes left to take, only 120 damage on board, and I've got quite a bit of action here. Actually, just realizing that Kiawe ain't doing me nothing. I just pulled all the energy into my hand, so it's cool. All right, Kiawe, yeah, that's not going to do anything. Got 0 fire energy in deck. But it was a good thought, though. Maybe I could let loose Kiawe, right? Let loose and then Kiawe for like 3. But I don't think that they can finish that game without the Diancie. They're just not dealing enough damage. They can knock out maybe 1 Pokemon. I can just attack and attach an Outrage. Even into this Goomy, I'll be able to Outrage here. But that's pretty devastating, actually. I could potentially get Turbo punished here if they special combo hit and I don't have a switch card. That is really tough. Now, I only have 9 cards left in deck. I'm pretty sure there are some switch cards in there. So let's see what we can do. I might just be... Oh, I got the Let Loose now? That's really good for me. So that most definitely helps. So let's see what we do. We kind of thin this whole deck. Put the choice band down. And I just need to find a switch for game. So let's just Ultra Ball away. Probably... I probably don't. Yeah, we'll Ultra Ball away the Kiawe and a Fire Energy. See what we got. 2 switch in the deck. Cool. Pretty decent odds of hitting one of those off of this Let Loose for 4 cards. We did not, which is interesting. And we have to just big pass here. 6 cards left in deck. 2 of them are switches. So we have a 1/3 chance of top decking a switch next turn, which is all I need in order to finish this game off. Which is this Reshiram Charizard benching is proving to potentially be a game-losing scenario. I should not have put myself in this situation. It's cool. Opponent is taking every opportunity they can to punish my play. I don't think that it's going to end up being enough to win them the game. They can go with finishing combo. It does 60 damage to each of my Pokemon, but all of my bench Pokemon that matter have 70 hit points, so they would have to be able to somehow also hit 10 more damage to these guys in order to take some serious advantage of that finishing combo attack. And I just need a switch card. That's really all we're looking for here. So unfortunately stuck with a bunch of Fire Crystals in my hand. That Nest Ball. I don't think that I don't have a Welder left in deck, so we know that that is not a thing that we can utilize. Just a pretty tough situation. They may end up having to just pass with this Jirachi active, and we'll finally get to where we needed to go here in our final couple of turns, grinding things out with 6 cards left in deck. Still confident about the Reshiram Charizard deck. We're still doing, everything that we needed to here. The healing was phenomenal. I mean, that was just really strong. Just some unfortunate, we're cool, right? 'Cause we just outraged for chaos. So that's it. Very fun. We probably made that a little closer than it had to be there at the end. But all in all, Reshiram Charizard can beat decks that are tech to beat it, can beat non-GX decks. It can beat absolutely everything. So a very good deck, and I think that Azul's finalist list for Madison Regional Championships is a great place to start. The only thing that I've done to that list is I added a single choice band, which may or may not even be completely necessary, to be honest. But one choice band, giving you the option to knock out Picarams with Flare Strike, is very good. Other than that, I think the list is pretty ideal. I love the Acro Bikes. I do love the aggressive Jirachi engine featuring Dedenne. And 2 copies of Let Loose is my favorite part about the deck as well. And that's it. So thank you all so much for watching the video. Make sure to check out fullgripgames.com for all your PTCGO codes as well as trading card singles. Also, make sure to check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream every single weekend. No, every single weekday. And also big props to Gen I, my Blastoise tier Patreon sub. Thank you guys so much. Everybody who supports me on Twitch, Patreon, and with your viewership here on YouTube. You guys rock. Take it easy. Have a great day. Peace.